Have you ever played the game of love thinking that someone would fall for you first, but then you actually scam yourself into unintentionally falling in love first? Well, what if that fateful encounter starts off fun, but then suddenly turns into like a whole burst of feeling? Hello, Tiger Beans! So, what in the world is this cliche webtoon manga sounding trope? Well, today we're actually gonna dive into this sexy, juicy thriller love story between me and this quote-unquote certain someone. So this story actually takes place all the way back in 2010. If you guys are around on the internet way back then, and into MMORPGs, then you've definitely heard of the classic Maple story, World of Warcraft, but there is a lesser known one called Wizard 101. And for anyone who doesn't know what it is, it's basically a turn-based PvE MMORPG, and it's like catered towards children, but from my experience, I feel like a lot of adults play it for nostalgic reasons. And also, it kind of gatekeeps because like you need a membership to
bombastic side-eye, criminal offensive side
further advance in the worlds, and like as a child you don't really have money. So I feel like that's why a lot of adults play. But yes, the love, the crust, the must, and this is the story of how I scammed myself into falling in love by accident. So quick throwback into the past is that I used to be like a beta player for the game, and this made me into like a super tryhard account, right? It's like playing League and you're turning into a super sweaty player because you're getting addicted to like pentakill after pentakills. But yeah, that's basically how it is. but due to like a bunch of like a series of unfortunate events, I actually got banned from the game. Oopsies. I was a little bit too toxic back then, but it's okay. I've changed. What every guy says. But trust me is what every man says too. But you know, like those typical manga plots where the MC is like originally like a good guy, right? But then turns bad because of a series, you know, of like events. Yeah, that was this cliche plot. I invested so much time and so much money to the game. And when I say a lot of money, I actually mean like over $700, because in the game you have like this like game currency called crowns. And to get crowns, you have to like spend like in real life money. So I was addicted to crowns because they would get me like these like super mega overpowered armor and gear and stuff like that. And you know, being like super sweaty, I was like, I gotta have this. You know, I need like this +1 stat. But yeah, anyways, so I invested so much time and money in the game, and then like on one sudden like bright sunny afternoon, I was, you know, coming back home from school. And keep in mind, this was like when I was like in grade 6 or grade 7. So I was coming back from school, I'm like, yeah, let's log into my account, do some grinds, collect some material, you know. But then I couldn't log on, and then I was like, huh? I was like, what do you mean I can't log on? So I kept trying to like re-enter my password and my username, and I'm like, what? But yeah, I basically lost it all, and then I kind of went mad for a bit. You know, like the anxiety I had, I was like, what do you mean I can't log on? I'm like, this gotta be a joke, right? Like, surely I am the main protagonist of the story, and I have plot protection from like these rules.
bombastic side-eye, criminal offensive side.
I'm kidding. but yeah, I was so like people shitting. I was like people mad that I lost. So as any cliche main character, you know, in these plots, you'd expect them to make like a new account that they don't like quote unquote really care about, is what they all say. And that's what I did. So when I logged into this new account, for some reason the character was set to a female, and I wanted to choose like a male character. But then, you know, being like, oh, I don't really care about this account, I didn't have like the energy to like make a new character, even though it's like literally like 5 clicks and then you make like a new character. I was like, you know what, screw this, I'm gonna keep going with this, because obviously the game hates me, so I'm gonna hate the game too. But yeah. So then I went into the game with a female character. So then we move on to the main plot, where I meet this guy in a dungeon. And if you don't know what a dungeon is, basically a dungeon in this Wizard 101 game is like, it's like a longer instance of like a boss run, right? So for example, you might have to go through like, I don't know, 5 to 6 different minion battles before you get to the boss, and the boss typically like cheats as well to make the game a little bit harder. But yeah, so this dungeon was called Waterworks, and at a certain level, which is level 60 in the game, you unlock this like dungeon, and it's really important in the game because this dungeon makes or break your character for progressing onto like the later worlds, just because like the stats from the armor it gives you are like pretty overpowered. But yeah, so anyways, so it's a co-op dungeon, and way back then in like the long olden days where I was like a wee baby. It used to be like really hard before they nerfed the shit out of this dungeon. But yeah, so this dungeon took 3 hours per run on average. So then I met this one guy, and a group of introverts, and you're also introvert. You need to be the extrovert of the introverts. So you need to be better than the other introverts and make the first move. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. I'll be better than the other introverts. So I was trying to like break the silence, because like when you're in a 3-hour dungeon and you don't really talk to anyone, and the other people are like not talking either, it's like low-key boring, And then you're like, okay, so I was like, okay, haha, let me try to break this silence. But yeah, so then I met this one guy, let's call him Kevin. And he was like not really having it, Like no matter what I'd say, I'd be like, oh my god, thank you so much for the buff. Or I'd be like, oh my god, thank you so much for the blade. Blades are like buffs, basically. Then he'd be like, okay, insert smiley face reply, which like got on my nerves, because I was like, okay, it's time, I'm at time to be petty. And so I'm like, okay, time to unleash my evil plot. And I'm like, I'm gonna try and scam this guy into friending me, and then like falling in love with me. Yeah, I was like, because I used to be really petty. It's okay, I've gone through like so much character development now.
Bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye.
But yeah. So then over the span of like some plots and schemes, I managed to successfully rope this guy into becoming my questing partner. Basically through the entire dungeon, I would like try and like bait him into like replying. I'd be like, oh my god, thank you so much. Oh, whoa. I tried to use my sexy charms to rizz him up. No, I'm kidding. I don't think I rizzed him up. After finishing the dungeon and blah, 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 I basically managed to scam him into my questing partner, and I would be that one really annoying rat, that would like hiss at the guy on his phone to hop on. I'd be like, hop online, bitch. So this is like how everything went actually downhill for me. Downhill. So over the span of like a few hours online with Kevin, and like over like many years too, like I have to say, I've been friends with this guy for like a really long time, probably like over 8 years now. So we would actually share so many conversations when he actually opened up. I know, right? Like the audacity. But he was like that one guy, and those like cliche tsundere manga webtoons or anime where they're like, I don't care about you. But then like after you like open their heart, like tenderly caress your cheek, and then they like stare deep into your eyes, deep into your soul. Yeah, he was like that kind of character. Then I was like, oh my god, he's actually a decent guy. So our conversations weren't anything superficial or shallow about like the weather, because small talk about the weather is the most absolute awkward thing ever, It's like you go to like the icebreakers and they're like, children, let's all sit in a circle and share 3 facts about ourselves, where you're from, what you're studying. Yeah. Like those like very awkward ass icebreaker circles. Yeah, we didn't do that shit. So then we were talking about like our hopes and dreams, where we envisioned ourselves in the future, what we wanted to do with our lives, and how we would get there. So there were so many freaking fun stories, but also there were so many sad stories too, especially behind his background, I can't reveal them because they're so deep, but basically, trauma bonds people, guys. At this point, I actually forgot about my entire plot into, scamming him into like falling in love with me. So then slowly I was like falling harder and harder in love with him. Oh god, it was tough. He would always treat me with like so much tender care. He'd always like checking on me after like long hours of like questing. He'd be like, hey, are you sleepy? Like we can take a break and stuff like that. He's like, make sure to grab a drink, make sure to like stretch up your spine, make sure to get some good sleep in. No wonder I fell for him. Anyways, so yeah, he was like all about showing me how true and tender like a caring friend would be. And so without a doubt, I fell so hard for this Kevin guy. But there was one problem. The guy was straight and I'm actually a dude. And he doesn't know that I'm a dude. So then there were so many sleepless nights where I was like, oh god, do I tell him the truth? But to be fair, I was like very scared on the inside. So everything I shared about with him, for example, like about my life, my happy memories, my sad memories, my hopes and dreams for the future, they were real. But the only lie was that I was a female and I was actually a dude behind this female character. So I didn't want to confess a lie because I didn't want him to think that I was lying about everything, So then it became like a huge dilemma on my part. For example, like potentially losing him forever, or just letting these happy memories, sleep inside me forever without ever telling him. If you guys are enjoying the story so far, I would totally appreciate if you could consider subbing to the channel. I'm gonna do my best to deliver you guys the best content that I can. But I also stream regularly on Twitch, so come say hi while I'm live. I would love to say hello to you. But again, thank you so much for coming to hang out on this video. Appreciate you guys. Back to the main story. So of course, if you guys were curious about my decision, the decision I actually went with was to let my feelings lay dormant within me forever. Should I have taken the chance to come clean? I think so. Now that I'm like 10 years older now, 12 years older now, I'm a bit more mature than my past, and I do think that coming clean would have been the best solution for him and I, And who knows, maybe he would have made an exception for me. No, I'm kidding. Maybe, I don't know. But I chose to keep these feelings inside within me, because I was too young at the time and I didn't want to make any major life decisions. So the scam love story was basically me just scamming myself into love and with a 2D character. Big sad. But you know what? I think it's okay though, because I really feel like, as we go through life, some events happen for different reasons, right? And I really think that back then I was in like a little bit more of a dark spot. So meeting this guy Kevin really brightened up my life a little bit. It's like the cloudy, stormy days, and all of a sudden, boom! Like the sunlight is shining through the beautiful clouds and all. By everything, I really appreciate this guy. He was honestly one of my very close friends, I would have to say. And even though we don't really talk anymore these days, I hope that wherever he is in his part of his life right now, I hope that he succeeds, and as long as he's happy with his life, I'm honestly really happy for him. So Kevin, if you're out there, I'm so sorry, Kevin. But I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for listening to my beautiful scamming love story, And I will see you guys on the next episode. Take care, friends.